The first test I'm going to make is going to be a DC voltage test, and I got it on low Z DC, and it's going to be on the J2 connector, pin 3, that's ground, and pin 8, that should be 12 volts nominally, but actually you'll see 13.5 volts, and what we're seeing is a fluctuation of voltage. It's going everywhere. So that tells me that it's not just the control board that's failed, it's the power supply of the control board that's failed. And as you can see, these capacitors, none of them look bulged. So there's no identifier on this board that says it's the board. In this case, you have to do a voltage test. Now what I'm going to do is just ESR those caps, see which ones are failed, and go from there. Alright, so I got my ESR meter on. Gonna test it, make sure it's working. That's good. So first we're gonna go to the secondary of the power supply. Get that right there. Okay, that looks good. These two caps are in parallel, so I'm going to get the same reading on either one of those caps. Again, that's also in parallel. All those caps are in parallel. So that's one reason why we're getting such a good reading on those. You can see I'm going back and forth trying to get a reading because the conformal coating. So you kind of have to wiggle through it. There we go. I'm going to make sure that that's good. That cap is, yeah, that one's good. So we got an issue with something else going on here. Let's test this big cap in the primary of the power supply. There we go. So that is testing good. Let's test this small cap over here. It's feedback on the feedback line. Really getting a reading at all on that one. Yeah, I think that's our culprit right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and confirm that that's defective, change it out, put it in, and retest the voltage. Make sure that the fridge turns on. Should be good to go. Alright, so I took that cap out and tested it out of circuit, and it was definitely defective. Had a very high ESR. It was off the chart. So I went ahead and replaced it and retested the board after I put it in. And I was getting a solid 13 plus reading, and the fans kicked on, the compressor kicked on. Everything was testing good. I went ahead after a few minutes and tested with my thermal imager. I saw that the differential of temperature between the back wall of the freezer and the refrigerator was about 15 degrees. On here you can see 137 ohms of equivalent series resistance. There we go. Alright, so now we're up to 140. You can see how it's fluctuating quite a bit. Now when I heat it up, you can see it drops dramatically, that ESR. So this is why I use heat and cold to troubleshoot control boards a lot of times, because the electronics will react to it and cause the appliance to either start working properly again or stop working if you have an intermittent problem. You can see now that I've taken the heat away, that ESR is starting to rise again. So I got the fridge fixed. I got the first call complete. Happy customer. They weren't going to pay for a new control board, so this is a good, cheaper way to go for them. Still keep that fridge out of the landfill. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the Re-Engineers.